Welcome to this short class on channeling inner wisdom. We are going to be diving into elemental medicine and how this supports the channeling of your wisdom, what it means to channel your wisdom. So maybe you're looking to channel a new project, channel more information, or just channel truth from yourself about personal information, personal guidance for your path. We're going to go through how to do that, how you can feel confident in the answers that you receive from your inner wisdom. And as you become more confident channeling your own inner wisdom for yourself, then that naturally expands into potentially channeling your wisdom for other people. And this could be spiritually in card readings, or as writing, as projects, all kinds of things. And that confidence really grows and makes you excited to share your light with the world, to share what you feel passionate about. So, super exciting journey. My name is Sophia, and I'm the director of Elemental Empress Medicine. I share about how the elements, fire, air, earth, and water, can support you to be your own best healer, to awaken to your full potential. So if you want to learn more about that community, you can check out the www.elementalempressmedicine.com that's shared below, and I'll share some more information at the end as well. So how wise do you feel? As a starting question, I love questions. I always share a lot of questions in the content that I have because I feel like sometimes there can just be an information overload from the world, like, oh, I want more information about this than that. And sometimes just coming back in, asking simple questions. This is when we really start to tap in and be able to utilize the information that we have available to us. So the wise owl within, the knowledge you hold within is infinite. Holding the keys to your inner library is a fascinating and liberating experience. I really love how energy, we're going to go into how the elements kind of give you a structure essentially for energy so that you can interpret it more easily. But to speak about energy on a larger scale, how energy shares that everything is simply information. And when we start to breathe into that truth, expand into that truth, the potential for our knowledge is so vast. There's no need to hold on to information if we feel that we always have access to it. It's similar to other kinds of resources like money or food. This coming into this trusting space that like what we need will always be available to us when we need it, and allowing that flow with the universe. Same with knowledge. And we can look at that in a physical sense, in the physical body, that the information from pain, discomfort, and ailment, excitement, ecstatic feelings, they all have information in them. And when we tap into that information and we realize, we bring to the surface this energy, it shifts it, it changes it, we become more empowered to orchestrate energy because we are tapping into it. So in a physical sense, this is quite a basic way we can receive information from our physical bodies, potentially having pain in an area. We can also go deeper with this on a spiritual level, going into accessing the Akashic records, accessing energy from ancestors. The elements also do teach these kind of expansive ways of connecting with energy in a safe way that feels like it makes sense, because sometimes channeling into more layered, deeper energies can feel quite a lot. And that's also why it's nice to have a guide on the journey as you increase your capacity to connect in with energy. The answer here with how wise you feel, I'd be interested if you are watching this on YouTube, you can pop a comment below and share how wise do you feel right now? How do you access your wisdom? I'd love to hear. Maybe you had an awakening of wisdom, something that really unlocked things within you. Do share about that below. We're going to access these keys through starting with the basic awareness of your inner connection. And this is an interesting thing that happens sometimes when people come to me for support on their journeys, for counseling, for coaching in with elemental medicine. There is a sense of like, I want that information now. I want to know how to fix my finances now. I want this ailment to be gone. And there has been a time sometimes with people where there has been a disconnect with self and they haven't spent time tuning into that inner connection, quietening the noises from external people, the noise within the mind. And so those are the aspects that we start with first, starting that interconnection journey once again. And when we really hone in on it, it doesn't take too much time, but it is a little bit like when you have gone away for some time and you haven't seen someone. Potentially you left your partner at home and you left without saying anything for a week, and then you walk back in the door and it's like, hi, how are you? And there's a few more questions, there's a bit of warming up that needs to happen so that you can communicate clearly and be in resonance again. So that's the work that we start out with to access this inner wisdom. So coming into your center takes time because you are moving down through the layers of your being. Within the layers, we have 3 that I share in the elemental medicine school, where we go into the inner worlds, going into meditation, what kind of energy systems am I experiencing in my body, where are fire, air, earth, and water in my body, how can that help me interpret my body language? And through meditation, that's a very helpful tool. So I guide a lot with body scanning, going into the different organs, receiving more specific information through the layers of the physical body. And then through the physical body, we can access deeper layers of the soul. We can access deeper layers of the energy body. It is very much a fascinating portal for awareness of self and for inner wisdom as well, because when we are in connection with the physical body, it's much easier to check in and think, okay, well, am I aligned with what I'm saying? Does it feel good to share in this way? Does this project feel like it's ready now? We can ask ourselves these questions and understand the physical sensations that affirm or that pull us away from things that may not be aligned for us at this time. So just understanding this sensory bodysuit that we are living in is where we start out with. Going into that inner world is the inner layer. We have the in-between layer, and this brings in the aspect of mindfulness. So the in-between layer is a little bit like your home. It's not quite your body, but it's still very intimate to you. And it's a place where people can come and visit, and you can have social get-togethers where people kind of come into your space. The in-between layer in the body is that surface layer, like your clothes, your outer energy, that you pick up other people's energy when you hug them, when you are touching different things in your environment, etc. So this is the in-between energy. And when we hold a space of mindfulness with this energy, that knowing that it's in between, we can facilitate staying in our conscious awareness a lot more. We can master that a lot more when we have the connection with the inner world. We're aware that this in-between exchange energy is happening, and it stays much easier to stay in the center, much easier to stay in connection with your wisdom, even when you're around people. So within the elemental medicine school, we go into the inner world first to solidify that relationship, and then we go into the in-between world and then into the outer world, so that you can get that experience of the layers of energy and how your wisdom can come through without feeling vulnerable, without feeling like it's going to be attacked. Because sometimes it can be the case where you lock away your wisdom and then you decide, I'm tired of locking it away, and you share it all, and then you feel vulnerable and someone comments on it, someone says something a little bit off, and then you pull back in and you go into a hermit mode. So yeah, my hands are a little bit yellow. I was peeling some turmeric in the garden, so that's why there is a yellow tinge on my hands, just in case you're wondering. And yeah, so we have the in-between world with mindfulness. And then we have the outer world with communication. So when we come all the way into the outer world, this is the larger projections of self. So when we're sharing potentially a book with the world, a business with the world, even sharing with our outer circles or outer families, our larger friend circles on social media or at parties, things like that. So we can work on communication and seeing how communication with the inner world and the outer world really link together. It's very interesting with the elements, how they can teach and guide with that, which we'll dive a bit more into in this short class here. Building awareness and tuning into what is wisdom. So with those layers in mind, with the elements in mind, coming back to a truth that we can only embody the inner knowledge from our higher self when we are in a non-reactive space. So when we're in that inner world, it might be easy for you to not be in a reactive space when you're just by yourself. Maybe it gets a little bit harder when you're meeting people in your home, and then harder again when you're in the outer world. So we're building that relationship with the physical body, building the relationship with the self, and the trust in your inner wisdom, your inner knowing, so that when you come out into a full expression of yourself, you can radiate that from a non-reactive space, meaning that no matter what anyone says, no matter what anyone does, you can come back to your higher state of consciousness and just be with it all. And see it as a reflection, see it as a learning, a teaching. And what we master in that sense is, it's like your awareness is hovering up here. The elements, the perception of energy is in front of your conscious lens, and you can see through that lens that all is energy. It's all in the universe, teaching you, teaching other people. And so as you can imagine, if you're coming into that state of higher awareness, it's a much more enjoyable space to create your projects, to write from, to connect with people from. It's a much more interesting space where you're not coming into battles and projections and, trauma bonds with people, things like that. So mastering that non-reactive space comes from, that deep trust in your inner wisdom. And that is wisdom in its essence, when you're able to share knowledge without making it a reactive back and forth between you and a person, you and a project, you and anything else. And that higher states of awareness, many people reach it through meditation. I really enjoy using the actual physical body, guiding people to use their physical body to reach those higher states of awareness, because it's a physical experience, it's a sensational experience of, the fact that you were inside, you were observing your physical being, you're observing these physical sensations. So it's easier for you to acknowledge that you can always be in a non-reactive space to your pain in your body, your discomforts in, anything, in stubbing your toe or ending a relationship. You can come out of that and you can breathe. And that is when you can master that state more and more, is when you can share more and more wisdom with ease in your creations with the world, which is very satisfying, very fun, very enjoyable. So keeping your center, I'm talking about that as a larger whole. And I suppose spirituality could be a whole topic on keeping your center. But to focus in on that a little bit more, of keeping your center with the elements, because I like to have the practical knowledge, the practical guidance to just support you to take action, to be able to work on this from a very practical level. So the elements, fire, air, earth, and water, are like foundational blocks. It is a lens in which you can see ancient truths. As I was mentioning, tapping into energy there with the physical body, tapping into energy within the elements, like tapping into water, tapping into fire. As you go into those energies, you have access to so much information, because these elements have been here for, ever, forever and ever. So there's an abundance of information. So building a relationship with them is building a relationship with yourself. It's building a relationship with your external world. And it's holding you in this awareness. It's holding you in this interconnected awareness that your inner world is reflective of your outer world. And as I was mentioning there with those layers, the inner and outer worlds, that's quite a concept to embody. Some people come to those states of awareness in meditation or through plant medicine, psychedelic mushrooms, things like that. And we can have these moments of awareness that, okay, my inner world is a reflection of my outer world. Whatever I'm feeling inside reflects outside. Example, if I'm feeling sad and low, I'm going to notice all the negative things in my environment. Versus if someone tells me in the morning for the first time that they love me, then I'm going to be feeling radiant and excited, and I'm going to see all the love in the world, butterflies and flowers, and everything's going to smell better. So we have those kinds of experiences where we can see, okay, how I'm feeling internally reflects what's happening externally. So coming into that concept, we have a structure, so we can see, okay, if my fire is feeling this way internally, then my fire is going to be that way externally as well. So if I'm connected with my soul purpose internally, there's going to be more reflections of opportunities to fulfill my soul purpose externally. And we can do this back and forth. Obviously, there's so many back and forths there, as you can imagine. But just to give you an example of how that flows with this ancient wisdom, into the wisdom of really the earth and the planet. So for your soul purpose, it does tie in very much with this wisdom, with the wisdom that's coming through you at this time. So the wisdom that naturally flows through you is deeply connected to what you came into this life to do. And connecting with the ancient truths in general, the ancient truths of the world, and that brings you into the ancient truths within yourself, of course, you can unlock and see, okay, well, I remember very easily that about geography and where places are in the world, or potentially it's history. You remember times in history, you remember details about history very easily, or potentially it's cooking, you remember recipes. For me, I remember anatomy and physiology very easily. It doesn't take much for me to be able to receive and retain that information. So tuning in and seeing, well, where does information in general really flow for you, and where does guidance for other people flow easily for you? And this is very aligned with where your soul purpose is guiding you at this time, where life is guiding you at this time. And so when you tune back into naturally what flows, it's like not trying too hard to be wise or to tune into a certain field of information, just kind of stepping back as well and being in that observing state to what flows naturally to you. And this will unveil a lot about your soul purpose. So if you're feeling like, how do I access my wisdom? What is my wisdom? What am I supposed to be doing with my work? Things like that. Starting off with the small things of, well, what flows naturally for you? What feels good? What lights you up? And you'll notice that that is a natural channel of information. And that is a way that your soul guides you to how your life is aligned for this lifetime. So tuning into that for yourself. So you are an infinitely wise being. Trust what flows through you. And if you're ready to dive deeper, if you'd like to dive deeper and learn more about the elements, you can check out the webpage that I mentioned, elementalempressmedicine.com. And we also have the Elemental Medicine School that I mentioned as well. And that is a 3-month journey to rewrite your life story, going deep into accessing your wisdom, accessing your story in this lifetime, and how you are sharing that narrative with the world, because that is setting the stage for how your wisdom feels within you, how your wisdom is shared around you. So do check that out. If that interests you at this time, you can make an application and we can get in touch to explore more if that is aligned for you at this time to access your wisdom within. Would love to hear any comments below, how this lands for you, again, how you're accessing that wisdom, anything that's been arising for you. There'll be other people in the comments as well that could find that helpful. Thank you for taking the time, sending so much love, and looking forward to seeing you in the next video.